Welcome in, welcome in. Postal Gang, Postman 1914. Welcome to Mailbox Sports. Let's get some tunes to myself over here, make sure I can hear everything going on. Besides the sounds we got going on in the background. Today we trying something a bit, I don't want to say different, but for lack of a better term, we going to say a little different here. We're going to break down some hot NFL narratives. We're going to crash into some off-season madness. And I guess we'll talk about some annual meetings, draft build-up, and so on and so forth. So today, we will open up to you what I classify as the mailbag. Welcome in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I get some things pulled up here for us. Meanwhile, it is my oldest birthday, so forgive us. I am rampant while they have a bit of celebratory situations that happen going on in the sales. Every time they like that, then we can get to it. Official negotiations. Repaint Derek. Salute to you. How we feeling today, man? Derek say, if you don't got a Super Bowl ring and you a Heisman guy, you a bust. Repaint. Welcome in, Chelsea. How you feeling today? We got some things to talk about. I think your discussion on Heisman bust and the paradox of how somebody can come to that conclusion is something that I think is interesting. So it wasn't on the agenda, but it is something that I think we can have a talk about. And so before we get into the agenda that I got set up for us, if anybody in the chat has a given, I don't want to say criteria, but what are some things that will preclude you from being successful? Meaning, if you didn't do this and you were a Heisman Trophy winner or number one overall pick, what is it that you did means you can't win? PDGP, that's what we got going on. Appreciate that. Welcome in. Okay. Real 2 Sports Podcast. We got it going. We need to get it kicked off in here. I was just finishing up not the MVP, the bus discussion from Chelsea's stream earlier today. And I was interested to see, hold on, I got you old ass G Honda. Sorry about that. Sorry, G Honda. Sorry, Jennifer G.H. Hudson, G. Hudson. My apologies. Is that good for you? Look. Let me put this on so I can hear the music now with you. I put my headphones on so I can hear it with G Honda. Nonetheless, let's get back to what we was talking about over here. Today, I think we should start off because I don't do it often, and we always see a lot of RIPs to a lot of people in NFL. I mean, not in the NFL, but celebrity news, everybody to that particular degree that has any sort of gravitas. And I don't think we pay enough attention to any athletes unless they were a phenomenal athlete, a sensational type that had, super run. And so what I think, G Honda, don't start. I think that to pay a bit of homage to Joey Browner, play for the Vikings, not very familiar with Brother Browner, but to be a part of the NFL family, to understand that I am an NFL fan, and when we have younger guys we got younger guys that actually get into the situation of what do you call paying tribute. I know Chelsea did a couple of streams last month about people who may have been gone too soon. And while we are at it, before we get into people that shouted out or paid homage to, today is my oldest daughter's 32nd birthday. So happy birthday, Khadijah. We're going to get a little turned up. We're going to have a small sip for you when I get done with this today. Not too much for me because y'all know how I do. Not much of a drinker, if you want to say it that way. We're going to keep it real PG. But if everybody in the chat, go ahead and wish my oldest a happy birthday with a nice chat. So when she see the replay, you can see somebody thought about it today. How about that for you? Just for your boy, we'll drop those in the chat. Today, like I said, we're going to cover official negotiations. Chelsea, he's born in 94. Not familiar to you? Carry on. Hey, look at Repeat nailing the spelling out here. But we got some NFL official negotiations news to talk about today. We're going to talk about what I classify as the epidemic of failed physicals in the NFL. We talk about the intro plans or the offseason plans that certain teams that would be considered rivals of my beloved Bears have in store. Try to get some brief updates from the annual meeting today, because the NFL annual meetings will be taking place. Your greatness. And then we'll talk about some trade rumors. We'll talk about anything draft-wise that you guys might want to have reviewed, and what questions, since G Honda will not be in attendance to do a hula hoop around his giraffe-like neck, what questions at the NFL draft would you want your boy to pose while we are there? Because we are going straight to Pittsburgh, April 23rd. Make sure y'all tune in. Segment 1 for us, we want to talk about the biggest off-field development this week. Got nothing to do with trades, nothing to do with free agency. And it's not any type of signing, but it does have to do with contracts. Are the NFL front offices and officials higher up really planning on bringing in, what do they call them, replacement officials? Anybody heard anything about this? Replacement officials. What, if anything, have you heard about it? And would you be interested in the NFL and the NFL Referee Association, who are apparently nowhere near a deal as far as their collective bargaining agreement goes? So with that contract set to expire at the end of May, obviously if they don't get it done before the preseason and so on and so forth, those guys won't be able to get back into their own training camps. And that's right, Derek, scabs. You seen the last time we had replacement refs in the NFL. Replacement refs, in my estimation, are terrible because it's much like bringing up collegiate guys to the next level without proper training and time to go through it. I think it gives an opportunity for the flow and the fairness of the scope of the rule to be misinterpreted. You know, it's a lot of things collegiate-wise, UFL-wise, and the other leagues that you may be a part of that are a bit different. And Chelsea just said it. Boot camp. But Chelsea, at what level could we put this boot camp to? How long would it, what are the logistics to the boot camp that would have to be necessary to make sure that they had a steady pipeline? And with this boot camp is for guys who are not a part of the union already in this collective bargaining agreement. So those guys, in essence, are not the guys who would still have the jobs. Even, like, say for instance, the union comes to an agreement. If they have an agreement, then the regular referees are already the guys that will continue to call games. And at that point, why would I, as the NFL pay to have a referee camp so that I can get guys at the high school level, like Derek said, so that I can get guys, you know, at the other intermediate levels or what have you. What would be the incentive on my part? Like, would it be a paid thing? Would they pay for it out of their own pockets to drive revenue? Would it be something that they get funded by the NFL league offices? Like, my interest would be in knowing how exactly it would go about getting those things done, just on the scope of the referee camp. Like, in the boot camp, how could we get it going for them? Like, what will make sense when we really talk about having guys in the pipeline ready in case of a strike? Because, like, let's face it, NFL replacement players, you can't have a boot camp to have those guys ready. Either they good or they not. And so if they not good, the competition level seems to wane and fall off. So let me see what Chelsea said real fast. So this is just what's being reported, that they are looking to prevent another catastrophe with the high school level. They are going to look more to college refs and incorporate about the ref boot camp. And so the catastrophes that happen there don't preclude the NFL from a different deal. And I would like to know, I guess, what the deal is that the NFL ref and union wants, because those guys are not full-time employees, to my understanding. Most of them are very or fairly successful, whether it be a lawyer, whether it be doctors, you know, so on and so forth. I don't think those guys lack very much. And the opportunities to make money. So I want to know exactly what it is that they're seeking in this contract. Are they looking to get paid in a fashion that says, I can do law part-time if I want to, I can do dentistry or what have you on a, you know, an interim basis, and make this my real full-time job when it only happens given what, 5 months of the year? So are they looking to be compensated in that way? Is like really the way in which I'm trying to see how they're going to attack this. What is it that they really want? Because I'm not certain that they've actually given us any indication. Chairs, man, Derek, let some zebra come ask me, give you some shares in the league and my revenue. I'm personally instituting this ref boot camp to dissolve your union. And I think that's where the angle of having that ref boot camp that Chelsea talked about, I think that is the perfect end to be like a counter to this. How much money are you willing to invest in training up the next group of guys so that they constantly have an evaluation against each other, and you can essentially have them compete against one another with those grades? Yeah, right. And see, like Chelsea, they say this, but if you remember, let me just be factual before I get into it, because I want to go back to the exact year. Maybe I have it written down already before I get into it. 2012, that's when it was. The 2012 lockout for refs, and you had the replacement refs, and you had the Fail Mary game, the Packers and the Seahawks. That game, they anticipated that particular stoppage to not spill over into the regular season, and lo and behold, it did. And would we say that those particular games impacted the product on the field? Could we say that? And granted, I have my own controversial opinions week in and week out about the referees, because I do think that they don't allow, you know, certain implementations of evidence to be given. You know, like in baseball right now, they got the ABS system, so that, you know, if a ref calls a bad ball or a strike, they can challenge it with the system, and the system really can computerized tell you balls and strikes. And I know it might be a bit more complex, but, and Derek, Derek, if you don't know, just so that we get it right here. Hold on, wait a minute. We gotta get close in on me. Derek, I am a proud and active union steward in the United States Postal Service. I wholeheartedly support all unionized activity and forces. But if we playing devil's advocate from a league standpoint, the way in which I would attempt to dissolve a union would be through such a measure. I would in no way, shape, or form ever go against anything like it, as we are in discussions again for contract negotiations right now in 2026. So make no mistake that I never will give oppositional opinion to union works, union ways, and union happenings. I just want all unions to be fruitful in what they ask for and get what they want or deserve, I should say. And so for me personally, I'm in agreement with you on that one. It's merely to have us have the understanding that the other side is indeed somebody to be paid attention to. But I'm gonna fight the fight with you every day, brother, because day in, day out, management finds a way to look through loopholes. I embrace the debate, and I look forward to always making them give the burden of proof to show why we don't deserve the things that we have worked so very hard for. So salute to whatever union it is that you support, represent, are a part of, and stand strong. That's where the fist can really be something that's a beneficial movement to us, and it's the epitome of how we can stand together to get things done. So never against it, but in the sporting aspect, I'm going to talk about it, and I talk about it with disdain for some of the ways in which unions operate on the whole, and that is due to the large majority of fiscal mismanagement. Nonetheless, I won't have a whole diatribe about that, but I did want to give you my imparted thoughts on union activity, because I got a union meeting Wednesday night, so we don't shoot down unions. But I get you. And I appreciate that in itself, for understanding what a union represents and what they need to have to be a functional unit and continue to have society run in the way in which it does, via entertainment and everything else. Ken, they did release him. I'm interested in seeing what that video is to know what would make you release a former top 5 pick so very soon after you just acquired him in a trade. Welcome in, Ken. And so we will make a video at minimum, Ken, and I'm glad you brought that up, regarding Jaden Ivey, because I want to find out exactly how, and I do believe that young man went to Purdue, so I want to find out about the fall from grace, per se, from Detroit to Chicago, and see exactly where his career goes from here. And every time I see a guard get released, I continue to think Javon Freeman Liberty. Wait for that phone call while you in. I think he's back in the G League now. He was in the Australian Basketball League. I think he came back to the G League just last month. Javon Freeman Liberty, my little cousin. Don't worry about it. Shameless plug. I'm gonna plug him every time. You should be in the league right now. Okay. I get it, and I don't, and I get it. But I know how it goes out here. If we don't see everybody, I got a new Dontations, as one of my frat brothers said before, aka my Cash App notifications over here on donations. So if I can get to a given level, that bar should try to get me to that point by the end of the month. Try to see if we can offset some things that may be cost-worthy in terms of giving us a quality experience at the draft this month. Derek said, take strong leaders and union members to make a union work. Yes, and sometimes the lack of knowledge to anything Well, all times I should say. This is the time I'm gonna jump out on the porch. All times not having all information and making an informed decision could be critical to the way in which things are done and the way in which you're playing for it. Your salary caps, we talk about these things in football terms a lot, Derek, but the salary caps and everything like that are built for you to understand exactly how you can allocate money, and if the salary cap is utilized in that way and can't be overly massaged, you as the individual, like Chelsea said, we need referee boot camps. I think for undergraduate athletes and collegiate types and everything, I think they should have nothing but fiscal management classes, advertising resource, interviewing skills, all things that are prudent to what they have going on in terms of being a professional, from money management to hiring a proper team around them, i.e., a nutritionist, the proper agent selections and things like that, how to be able to find all of the useful tools that make the athlete the best. And when you come up with those things, I think it gives them the opportunity to be a bit more fiscally aware. And I think at that point, once we become a bit more fiscally aware, including myself, it gives you a bit more of a tripod analogy that I want to use. Instead of having two legs to stand on, the tripod gives you an extra leg of stability that you didn't know you needed, but now you can handle even more artillery in terms of the things you're trying to target. So I think when you can see something like this wonderful thing here, you take one leg out and we can be on two. And yes, two legs is good, but if I take that same try and I do it that way, y'all, now we got those three legs. That thing right there got a lot more strength, resilience, and we can put it together to do what we needed to do, be union strong. And I think that's where the union can make better decisions individually. And when you make better individual decisions on the back end or the front end, how should I say, when it comes to negotiation, they don't have to succumb to financial pressures of mismanagement of their resources. So I got off on a tangent about that, but it's important we understand that those types of things are something we need to discuss so that more athletes don't go broke, more athletes don't have the pressures of taking bad deals on the whole. And I think that starts at a earlier age. And I think if we can focus in, and if universities care, which I can tell you they don't, those particular classes and coursework will be offered, and they will have curriculum tailored to the student athlete. But they don't, because school is a business, athletics is a business, entertainment is a business. We're a business. I'll leave it at that. And so let's get into any thoughts you might have about referees, replacement refs, ways in which we can reinforce union votes. All of that good stuff right in that instance was, I think, pretty good when we talk about the NFL and negotiations, because negotiations will be happening in baseball soon as far as the union goes, and pretty soon the NFL will be coming around with another one of those negotiating meetings, and we want to have everybody be in the best possible situation to get what they want and be able to articulate it and be able to stand collectively long enough so that not the only top 2% of athletes, as far as contract goes, can afford to wait out the owners. So that's something I think we can look into. I don't think it won't be breached in every sport initially, but I can see it happening more and more the further we get away from so many of our athletes coming from poverty. I think we can look at teams like Duke and see the Boozer brothers, and Kenny Smith kid going to North Carolina next year. We're getting a lot less kids that are being groomed for professional success that have poverty stories. So the money management in some cases is a bit better, but we'll see. If anybody got any thoughts about those upcoming negotiations and what they look like as far as explain to players why haven't players formed a union. Okay, so they haven't formed a union, to my knowledge, with NIL because they are not employees. NIL deals are individual name, image, and likeness deals that allow them to operate in somewhat of a single entity of themselves, so they're not attached to a university. I.e., if you see them transfer so quick, it's without repercussion oftentimes, and the university has to go back and have legal recourse to try to recoup any of the monies and things like that. So like, they don't operate in a unionistic capacity, and they are not considered employees. Thus, if you are not an employee, the premise of a union can't be broached. So I think colleges wanted to stay, even though they don't want to pay anybody. Name, image, and likeness is the best way to further have control and limit you from being able to do anything like that. Last time I heard about it, but I believe the caveat student athlete is still attached to them, and as long as they're students, you're not a professional, and so at that point they're not able to form a union. But most of them, even with that, they circumvent so many things because of the individual bargaining power they have and the leverage they have individually. I wouldn't even think they wanted to do it like that, because like the haves and the have-nots are super apparent in college, and 18, 19-year-old kids don't have any solidarity in the way in which they think, especially these days, because everybody is groomed to be a brand. So I wouldn't even think of them being educated enough at that young age to even find or seek ways to become some sort of 1099 contracted employee or something like that. But I'm pretty sure at some point, the way in which NIL is going, somebody's going to attempt to get them to be at least contracted workers so that they can go ahead and look into something like that so that they can have control again. What we all know is that in all walks of life, especially in sport, there is a hierarchy, and a given tier wants to have control. I don't care what the product is or how popular the product is. Control must be had, and they're going to find a way to be able to get that control. And if I have to do so by allowing you to think you have won, i.e. free agency with Reggie White and all the other boys. When Reggie was fighting for free agency early on, so we can have the rights for it, it was a brilliant idea, but it's always shortcomings in the way in which it's negotiated. And so those things are the things that I think keep so many separate branches or spin-offs of things from actually happening. They can benefit us on the whole, those external leagues and so on and so forth. Don't think they happen because of the lack of institutional knowledge to some of the secrets or the trade secrets when it comes to certain things. But when we talk about trade secrets, the NFL has an annual meeting, and those spring meetings are happening right now in Phoenix. Man, I wish I was in Phoenix. Owners, decision makers don't just talk about the short term, but they talk about things well into the future. Expansion, new rules. If they want to try to eliminate things like union activities and things, they talk about all of the things, good and bad, that they want to have go on, whether it be media rights, whether it be rule changes, preseason structures, regular season games, even the looming referee talks is something that they're talking about right now at the annual meetings. And something else that will be talked about, Ken and Bear fans, Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears will, in fact, make one last appeal at the league meetings about these robbed draft picks, these stolen compensatory draft picks we supposed to get via one Ian Cunningham. So, besides that being something that I care about being broached at the meetings, things that they can justify that have been talked about. Hey, the minister of defense, man, out there when you talk about Reggie, and Reggie had the right idea long ago to be able to choose. I was sad when he chose the Packers, but he had the right idea when he wanted the ability to have some autonomy in choosing. Soldier Field is going to be converted into like a rec center. Ask the Friends of the Park. We don't care, G Honda. Friends of the Park can worry about that. People always talk about why won't the Bears stay at Soldier Field. Why would the Bears not go to not Indiana, not Soldier Field, but only Arlington Heights, where they own the stadium, where they own the land, and they would own everything from concessions to parking to apparel to sport book and so on and so forth. Like, it would only make sense that they fight to get the tax breaks that they deserve, that a typical franchise gets. See LA and Vegas for details. But, you know, other than that, G Hudson, just like Chelsea said to you, man. Chelsea said it, man, and I'm just gonna let you know about it. I don't know how else to tell you, sir. Chelsea already told you we don't care about what you got going on. You just hell bent on having us here, right? Why?
Stop it. Get some help.
That's what I just want to tell you. I just want to tell you a little bit of that, G Honda. As a Bears fan, you're not a Bears fan, G Honda. Yeah, it wasn't even set up for you, but I had to let you get some help because you wasn't gonna stop. Now let's get back to it. So if you don't know, the Raiders ownership, when we talk about Mark Super Bowl Davis, I think G Honda had a Super Bowl before he won ball, but that's neither here nor there. He has attempted to sell the Raiders, so I think that they are talking about a Raiders ownership succession plan. Say that one time pass, let alone 3. And see, Derek, there is nowhere in the city that the Bears can build their own stadium. There's no land place that is big enough in the city. Nonetheless, the Cowboys, the Giants, Niners, I mean, there are so many teams that don't play. We're talking about your succession plan in a minute, real too. So many teams don't play in the city. Arlington Heights is still, I would say, 30 minutes away from Soldier Field, and it's still in Illinois, and it's a suburb of Chicago, so it's not really going anywhere. Now, if they were to move to Indiana, I could totally understand that, but the lawmakers of Illinois do need to take a step back and realize that the tax breaks that we see for larger cities, including cities who have just built their stadiums, because the Raiders have the Raiders got a phenomenal stadium. And I know they got some good, a fair tax to pay all the time, right? Not appearance, yes, but not for the win, G Honda. But neither did you, good sir. So stop it, G Honda. You look probably like somebody's granddaddy, but you not. You look like granddaddy. You look like granddaddy. You look like granddaddy. Your granddaddy. Oh boy, don't you start. T Miles know that you like a granddaddy, G Honda. It's okay. It's fine. No, but since you're here, N2, what do you think about Mark Davis attempting to sell the Raiders? Do you got any thoughts about the ownership succession plan? I know Super Bowl sites are something they planning on dropping soon. Let me see. They got so much stuff going on, man. Is the Raiders. No, Allegiant isn't. Let me tell you, Derek. You want me to tell you the smallest venue in the NFL? That's Ken, shout out to 94, baby. Man, the giraffe gonna catch that neck is too long not to catch strays everywhere, Derek. Not wobbly knees and a long neck, you are a target everywhere. Those knees are not impervious to getting trampled in here. And the smallest stadium, to get back to it, Derek, Soldier Field. Soldier Field is the smallest stadium in the damn league. We host a little over 61,000 fans. So, yet another reason why they gotta get gone. But the knock-knee tyrant say he is bulletproof. Do we believe it? I don't believe him. I don't believe him at all, Derek. He need to stop. He need to get out of there. Out of there. It is, Ken. We got to get up out of there, man. Absolutely. You said only add five. Well, you know, hey, while you talk about that, Ken, so Allegiant only had 65,000 seats in it. And the Teflon Giraffe, I think 65 to 67 is the sweet spot, and focus on the amenities around it. Bring all of the amenities, the gift shops, the concession stands, ease of access, make all of those things way more important, because man, hey, look, they're a game. So I don't know if I said it already, but next month I will be in Pittsburgh and I will be at the draft. We're gonna see what a stadium look like, and see if that ketchup bowl still look like Heinz. What they call it these days? Jurassic Stadium? What they call it these days? Giraffe Neck Arena? Check out the G Honda Splash Plays video, Derek, if you want to see me and Chelsea try to make sense of the things that G Honda says, because they rarely make sense, but you know this already. Media rights. So the NFL is attempting to go ahead and get, what'd you say, Ken? Hold on, let's pull this up real quick. It says Arlington Heights and Chelsea. Tomorrow I'm going to get my screen game together so I can snatch those comments and read them. I had the bubble pop up. I just ain't got around to it, but I saw it in the Discord. Yeah, Arlington Heights always has business moving for the big move that might not happen. Hey, Arlington Heights got everything going because they need to get their infrastructure moving, because we need to go ahead and put shovels to ground, bro. You got stadiums like Buffalo opening, and is it next year? Yeah, I'm gonna be there trying to see what's going on. See what it look like, Derek. Hopefully it's gonna give me some good angles for some draft content to see how things go. But The salary cap got raised to $301 million this year. Next year, they are going to obviously sell off more rights. More football games going to be sold to more streaming apps, more Netflix games, more Peacock games. Hulu is ingesting a couple of streaming services, so you're gonna have a couple of ways in which the salary cap will continue to increase, revenue will continue to increase for teams, and one of the discussion points they're having is to try to suppress some of that money from going to the players. And simply put, I think that won't happen whatsoever. Like, absolutely not. Would you pocket more money than you already do, and you make billions every year, and yet you don't allocate nearly that amount that you bring in through TV deals and so on and so forth back out to these football endeavors when it comes to trying to win, investing in the infrastructure and everything else like that. The Peacock got the best games. I never pay attention to what fight they on. I just know, unfortunately, in a weird way, that's my addiction, and they're gonna get me, and we're gonna get the necessary equipments and things like that, apps or whatever, to go ahead and see what we need. Now, obviously, the Bears gonna be my primary focus, but football on the whole, it's very rare that you get a bad football game, if you ask me. I think a lot of opportunities to watch even the worst teams give you the best opportunity to scout players. Free agency comes about, certain players are good and they never get the exposure because of the teams they play for. So when you have a streaming site like a Peacock or somebody like that giving a singular viewing opportunity to a team, at least somebody might become a household name and be able to build their brand a little further out. Maybe some marketing deals, so on and so forth. But as we know, they don't come out of the helmets very often. So people don't have to like the Peacock and all the other streaming service type of opportunities, but you do have to see how it still in some way gives the opportunity for expansion of the player to be a business unto themselves. Peacock got Sunday night games. Also, okay, so Peacock is NBC, and so since both of them are the same, I never would even thought about it that way, just because I still watch the game on NBC that night as opposed to going to Peacock, which I know exactly what you're saying. That's where NBC comes from, hence the logo is the Peacock. And I love Peacocks, by the way. Peacocks are the best. Easily plays all your Bengals games. So, okay. Were you sad that Trey Hendrickson is no longer part of the team this year? And what are your thoughts on your owner in particular when we talk about owners as far as the Bengals go? Because I think Joe got 3 people paid, and I think that's going to be the demise of the team. Same time, can't blame him for voicing his opinion. I got to blame people who gave the money out, So I think my ownership is improving on the whole, but I think that Ohio ownership is kind of bad. Say it that way. You can't say steal a stream and save money. Ken, one day I'm going to be popular enough, even on this little platform here, to get a little bit of sponsorship or a little bit of razzle dazzle when it comes to super chats or something like that. I don't want nobody to outsource me and bootleg me, man, because gas is too damn high and I'm trying to get some too. But I'm just one guy out there when we talk about it. But on the whole, for those meetings, discussion points, I think we should say, What do you think the NFL should prioritize when we talk about these owners meetings? Should it be rules? Should it be the draft in terms of positioning? Should it be player safety? Or should they stick to talking about media streaming deals and things that are more on the business side? Like, what things do you think owners should be discussing at these owners meetings, since they don't necessarily have involvement with the play and the product on the field, but they are the purveyors of the product on the field? So I'm just wondering what things you think they should be talking about at these meetings. But while we at this meeting here, if you're just coming in, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. If you are new to the stream, we are giving you a weekly mailbag of thoughts. Moving along to those thoughts, we are going to talk about what I call a rash, and I'm being exaggerative. That's the word. There we go. When we talk about okay, so you have owners like my owners, Derek, and that they don't have any other businesses outside of football. The McCaskey family basically inherited the Bears through the Hallis family, through Virginia. Same time, I do think that people like Kevin Warren and what have you have begun to put the Bears in a situation where we operate like a first-class team. We're not mom and pop. And I think that those types of things right there are some of the separating factors that really wife just text me, sorry y'all. Get rid of the kickoff. So you saying, so I don't watch any other football. In college, I don't even watch college football. I'm not gonna lie to you. Do they not kick the ball up anymore? And what's the alternative? They just start the ball like on a 10 or something? I'm curious about that, man. You got me wondering now, Derek. I'm really trying to let me see. Let me pull up something now. Let me see. The UFL, a professional spring league, is a primary league besides the NFL. But they use a distinct safe kickoff format. It says largely based on 2023 XFL rules, where the kicking team and return team line up 10 yards apart, aiming for higher return rates and fewer high-speed collisions. So it's like basically they like damn near facing each other or real close. No, I don't care about G Honda. Let me explain something to you. I work about 10 to 11 hours a day. I like professional sports where I can hold grown men accountable. Collegiate young men are subject to a variety of different variables when it comes to their jobs and everything like that. So I most definitely don't want to be overly critical of them. And more importantly, I attended and graduated from a HBCU, sir. And tell me how many times a historically black college and university gets any true collegiate respect when we talk about anything, let alone sports. So the fact that I do not care to engage in a sport league that has told me straight to my face that they don't care. They're young men. They're not grown men. You're not gonna give me the three or four few people, because no, sorry, sir. behind the why I'm talking to you. So, previous college and high school. So the UFL seems to have the safest kickoff situation going on. If you ever want to look at that, Derek, and I do believe that is a player safety issue that they talk about constantly. I do believe at some point they will try to look at it again if in fact they can find ways to increase offense without directly having to correlate to being hurt. Go look the word up. Janarius Honda. Go look the word up. Yeah, I don't believe you know what pandering is. But I won't pander to the NCAA because they don't care anything about my black schools. Carry on, sir. But you tried it. Now, as we know, when we talk about Raiders fans, and we talk about, yes, the tournament is always good. So I love watching NCAA basketball. But even in that, Ken, 2001, my team went 28-2, I believe, before the SWAC tournament. After we won the SWAC tournament, we won the right to have a play-in game and be the 16 seed as a play-in. Do you know who we got to play after we won our 16 seed play-in? This crummy team called the number one overall seed in the tournament, the Michigan State Spartans. And they kicked our ass up and down the court. And do you think I want to see that again? And Derek, when I say player safety, it's about lawsuits. These grown-ups as professionals that are part of unions can sue their ass. So how else can we do but to try to reframe it and say something different? Because if we don't reword or restructure, we can be held liable by these adults who have attorneys, and they're gonna be able to get everything going with you. That's the problem. I watch the NBA for the playoffs. I watch playoff basketball, but regular season, not really too much. But like when you realize that the NCAA is a business, school is a business, it's predatory at its base, and that won't stop in collegiate athletics, nor will it stop at the pros. So, I want people to be informed about ways they can keep themselves relevant and gainfully in control in some ways. When we talk about being in control, we're going to get back in control of this stream and move on to what we classify as rampant injury or failed physical phobia in the NFL. Recently, one Max Crosby, Max with two X's, failed a physical with the Baltimore Ravens, and in fact the trade that was supposed to be consummated was indeed rescinded and sent him back to the Raiders. So what I want to know is, do we think that this was a failed physical that was really detrimental, or do we think this is more something that was a loophole that the Ravens exploited to get out of a trade from giving up multiple draft picks? Because when we talk about the meetings earlier, the Cleveland Browns had submitted, which they did retract, they had submitted a proposal to be able to trade first round draft picks or draft picks in general up to 5 years out. And once people like Max Crosby was getting nice deals, 2-3 first round picks coming up the pipeline, they started to get real nervous, and they took the proposal away because they knew ultimately that would mean people could offer them draft picks up to 5 years out for Myles Garrett, and they won't have to let my people go, let Myles go. But I don't feel sorry for Myles when you signed a contract to keep you there, because you could have indeed requested a trade, got said trade, and been signed to a contract right afterwards. But you didn't. So I want to know, first, do we think this was a ruse on the part of the Ravens? Do we think this is a real failed physical that can give out some sort of cause for concern, I should say? And I say that because just this week, AJ Epinesa had signed a 2-year deal with the Cleveland Browns. Earlier today, it was reported that his deal has been retracted as he has failed the physical for the Cleveland doctors. And so I don't know exactly what goes into these physicals, because each individual team has their own medical team, and those people look into your medical history, surgeries, and so on and so forth on their own. And it's like, for me, to be able to look at two different situations, and both of those situations have you back out of deals. And the Bears, early on in Ryan Poles' career, did this with Larry Ogunjobi, where we backed out of a physical deal with him, or backed out of a deal because of a physical. And later that season, he still signed with Pittsburgh and gave him some decent years. But, you know, we failed him on the physical. Pittsburgh passed him. So obviously doctors have differing opinions. He never did anything substantial to kind of earn that contract in Pittsburgh, so thank you. But to address a comment that was talked about in these YouTube streets right here, Jennifer Janarius Hudson said that Lamar will never get a ring. That was followed by saying Lamar disappears in the playoffs. And while I will say that Lamar has had to make progressions throughout his playoff career, the last time I seen Lamar in the playoffs wasn't Lamar shrinking or failing in anything. It was Mark Andrews dropping a ball that would have scored and won a game. And I say that to say this. We give Lamar so much criticism about his shrinking or failures in football games because his team loses. When, although Josh has damn good stats in these games that they lose, him and his team still find a way to lose every year in the playoffs and come up short. And he doesn't get nearly as much flack because he pads more stats in those games. And so I'm going to start to be a bit more critically aware of the stat lines when it comes to both of them in terms of efficiencies and so on and so forth. But usually it always comes down to Lamar shrinking in the playoffs, when I think it's Lamar's team on the whole, because Lamar didn't opt to not give Derrick Henry the ball and stop running. Or Lamar, I blame Lamar the year before his last playoff year, when he wanted to be a passing quarterback so bad that he stopped being him. And after he ran for like a 80-yard rush to start the game, he stopped running, and they lost that game subsequently. And that game was his fault. But I think overall the rap that he gets is a bit tied into the team. And believe me, I won't ever have too much of a dog in the fight, because I am worried about my team and my team only. I don't care who he married to. Honda will exhaust you, man. I didn't know giraffes were so exhausting. But nonetheless, Max has declared that he is going to stay in Vegas now that Tay has been taken off the books. So one, I guess he has a little bit of say-so in that, although I didn't think he did, because they can trade you still if they want. But does Vegas suddenly become a tougher AFC contender or contender at all by having Max be a part of the team when they have first overall draft picks rights and other potential draft picks and additions they've made to the team. What was your question, sir? You ain't really answering questions. You ain't asking questions. Yeah, I don't watch college football because the SWAC don't care about them, and I don't really care about college football. If you want me to be crass, we'll simplify it that way. I don't care about college football, and on the whole, college sports. But I do like the College World Series in the NCAA tournament, and that's all. I don't even care about the national championship game. College football doesn't interest me in any way, shape, or form. Don't intrigue me. Salute to everyone who it does. But if you realize, in my estimation, college football is more celebrated by people who are from smaller cities or have a different attachment to a certain school. In Chicago, they're not representing Northern or UIC. No, who cares? No thanks, sir. Move along. G Honda, the Janarius Honda is going to paint his nails. G Hudson is going to be his personal nail polisher. Book it. I don't, Chelsea. Like, G Honda. Oh, he used caps. Oh, I don't like that. I gotta change that. Oh, that's why they did that. Derek, I have an irrational disdain for the university that people call Ohio State University. I won't call it what you called it. I won't call it what you called it. But is it wax poetic that it timed out that school? The Buckeyes. I mean, like seriously, okay, so Chelsea, like earlier today, when we talked about most exciting, when you was going through your Heisman breakdowns and you talked about the most exciting college football games, watching Vince Young in Texas annihilate, and by annihilate, it was a close game, but he broke their spirit. And Lindale White, Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, Chewing Gum Pete Carroll, and Lyman Swede went out there. That's right. That's right. It shut him down. But that college football season, I was so intrigued to watch Vince that year because everybody was doubted, and it was no way that anybody but USC was going to continue to dominate. And I always had a rooting interest against Notre Dame, and Notre Dame was always against USC. But at that point, it came to fruition that Vince could do something. And that college season, I locked in. Now, granted, Chelsea, I was in college then myself. So when Eli was at Ole Miss, when Vince was at Texas, I was in college and I was watching that. He said, you gotta say it loud. I ain't mad, man. I can't stand him, but I know what you mean. Man, like, Vince, okay, so look, even with that, so if I'm correct, Vince was Rookie of the Year and took his team to the playoffs the first year. And so after the first year, can I call a Rookie of the Year who I guess that was his plateau? Can I say the Rookie of the Year was a bust? I guess I could. But I'm going to say Vince was one of those. Well, yes, Vince was a bust, I think, because he wasn't going to work hard to learn the playbook still. He's gonna be one of those guys that we talk about right now. I found this one. I knew I was gonna need that. Like seriously, I totally understand it, and I was gonna try to figure it out, man. But it's just like you start to understand in that moment that he had a short-term success, and then that's what gets me back to the criteria, trying to figure out what really makes a bust. Because if a former Rookie of the Year was a bust, and like Cam, I don't know if he's being facetious when you said it, but MVP in the league is a bust. It really get me to want to really get down to the bust thing, because yes, Vince did get the Madden curse. Hey, I used to believe in the Madden curse so serious, Derek Gaines. When Dante Culpepper got hurt, man, you couldn't tell me it wasn't no Madden curse. Sean Alexander got on that cover and was never seen again, bro. Vic got on that cover and went to jail. Like, the Madden curse was real, man. I don't care what nobody say. The Madden curse was real. Ain't nobody prove otherwise, bro. That was real. And then we get to some trade rumors, y'all, so we can try to bring this full scale and bring it home. We got some wide receiver trade news. Let's go ahead and see if I can pull the article up for us. I get you, man, and I'm trying to. That's why I say and Derek, join the Discord, man. I don't know if it popped up at all yet, but we're gonna get you a part of the Discord, because you can feel free to always get in the voice chat. And when we have questions like this that require a bit more of a elevated thought, I want you to be able to express it and give your full complement of thought. So let me put the Discord out here for you real quick, my brother. Just so if you ever want to be in the voice chat, G Honda tries sometimes, but the aptitude is not always there. So, In Chelsea, I got a new wheel, and I want people to join me tomorrow as I try to have what we call a flag football draft. That's what we're going to call it. Flag football draft. But that should get you there if you ever want to join the postal game on a different level, Derek. Always hop in the Discord. We always be in the sports talk room, with the smokehouse, post office, something to that degree. We'll let you be able to come on up. I know in Creek streams, I don't really see you cam up too much, but as long as your mic is working, way better than G Honda's gurgled robot land microphone, more than welcome to go ahead and give your thoughts. Sometimes when we got those long-winded, over-the-top type of thoughts that just won't be encapsulated in one typing message or what have you. But like I said, we got some early off-season noise as far as the trade market goes. Jets and the Chargers trying to stir things up at the wide receiver position, because these rumors are not confirmed yet, but if true, they can shift divisional balance. So, now somebody can't. Yeah, make sure she ain't on my camera. Okay, there we go. I can't let my celebrity co-host be out here in these streets, because y'all be trying to pull up and we can't have it. You can hear her commentary all you want. She full co-host mode. Gonna give you all the words, but you will never see her face. She the anonymous co-host. My apologies, everybody. Let's get back to it. Let's get back to it. She like to pop in and get us going over here. So they've talked about some Davante Adams trade talks. Her daddy is, man, so you never know. I do my best to dissuade her. But I do my best to get her out of that, but her daddy is, so salute to you, man. But she know how to say go Bears. Bet you that. Then we cheering for no Browns around here. You know how to say go Bears. That's all that matters to me. And they have also been talking to, let me see, it's a particular wide receiver that's still on the move. Nobody knows where yet, but if anybody could guess, where would Brandon Ayuk land? 49ers won't rush a trade on Ayuk, but Kyle Shanahan says the team hopes to get something back for the wide receiver. So we talk about Brandon Ayuk. What team could he possibly be a fit for? What teams you think might make an offer for him? You think he still got the juice? You think he's still the type of receiver that he was years ago before the injury? Let me know what we think a guy like Brandon Ayuk might be ending up. McVay did confirm that they had some talks about Davante Adams and trades. So if anybody can think of some different fits for a guy like Davante Adams, see if he can make his last stop. I know that some Raiders fans may not have too much of a favoring for Davante Adams when we talk about it but there was absolutely one more trade situation that I was looking into, and I am going to be remiss besides A.J. Brown. Now, you think the Cowboys can take 3 wide receivers, man? You think they already tagged Pickens. They got CD. You think they can handle that one? What about AJ? Is AJ gonna get moved? And also, when we talk about the Jets, Brian Thomas Jr. of the Jacksonville Jaguars was in a rumored trade for the Jets as a possibility. That's right, Chelsea. Say you can't do no more. You got enough. Chelsea, I'm hoping we stop. We need all defense, and y'all do a couple trades and everything like that. Oh, Derek, who getting traded? This might get Chelsea riled up. Cowboy receiver getting CD out of there. CD getting returned to sender. They keeping Pickens. Sign and trade George Pickens. What you think? I don't know. Of the wide receivers I mentioned, Brian Thomas Jr., Brandon Ayuk, Davante Adams, yeah, that franchise tag on him. Which of those 3 wide receivers do we think will be traded first? And let's throw AJ Brown in. So let's get this going real fast before we get out. Okay, I can get this. Which wide receiver? Boom, 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 boom. There we go. Our poll is up. Tua got 40 minutes. Yes. Lions fans. Chelsea, don't be wasting your time talking about the Lions. I think you got better things to do with your time. Name your hat. Hope G Honda pick out a nail polish for Caleb's nails. Find new knee pads for his impervious knock knees type stuff. We got so many things we can do. We don't got to talk about the Lions. But the poll is up. Which one of those wide receivers do we see getting the boot first? Just because we're gonna bring it home while we talk about the Detroit Lions. A former Detroit wide receiver by the name of Khalif Raymond is joining the Bears recently as our new old head de facto veteran of the wide receiver group and a return man. While we talk about the kick return and punt return game, Derek Gaines. And the deal from Detroit and Chicago was very similar. And what my man said was he took that deal because he favors Ben over Dan bite your kneecaps Campbell. So G Honda, watch your kneecaps around Dan Campbell because he like to bite kneecaps. I don't know if yours can handle it. Nonetheless, we gonna really have to understand that in that moment, money was even, odds was even. He's like, no. I want that coach. I want that guy. I'm gonna wear that jersey against my division rival, whom I just suited up for the last 3 years. We don't need none of that. We want what we got over here on the winning side. Everybody in Detroit seeing the ship sink before their eyes. The center retired. The left tackle asked for a release. They got rid of a couple guys. They signed DJ Wanham. I like that. They, got a new OC in Petson. Maybe he good, maybe he not. Maybe Arizona wasn't a good place for him. But there's some of them Birdman hand rubs out here, and we're going to see what's going on. Try to figure out really if my beloved are taking the necessary steps to go ahead and get things done on the free agent market. The draft is coming up very soon. And like I said, tune in to your boy that day. April 23rd, 8 p.m. we going live and we're going to get it going. Maybe even a little sooner than that. I would say before the draft actually starts. So, time to be determined. I'm going to let you know when we're going to get it going. Maybe a little earlier than that, just so we can get things moving and grooving before the draft actually commences, so I can enjoy some of it as a fan as well. So I want to get us live before kick off to the festivities per se, and try to get everybody locked in, on the fan side. So stay tuned for that right there. And you tell me in those instances, what's your biggest offseason hope? What do you want your team to draft? Who do you think your team will draft? Because I hope to see fans from the Lions, the Cowboys, the Bengals, and pretty much everybody else in the NFL world. I hope to catch questions and feedback from every fan, not just a Bear fan in that instance, because the NFL draft is the opportunity for all NFL family to, get together, root against each other, chastise one another, and in a competitive manner, and hope that your team walks away with the top-rated draft class like the 2025 Chicago Bears. And you hope you do that every year. You hope you get a Kelston Loveland. You hope you get a Ozzie Trapillo. You hope you get a Luther Burden. You hope you get a Cal Monunga. You hope you get an undrafted Jade Walker. You want Juby slides all around the world. And when you get those types of things right there, I wanted a better offensive line last year. Derek, we asked and we received. And that right there took my quarterback, who was almost shell-shocked his rookie year and not looking forward to learning, and it turned him into a mini monster. And just, dare I say, wait until year 2 in Ben's system, because Ben purports to care about the run game and blocking, and you can see it in his actions. He's not pump faking you when he say quarterback. Yes, Caleb the reason he came there, but he understands Caleb cannot be Caleb without that damn line being impervious like G Honda's knees to all chaos and trauma. You want to have it just like that, and you don't want to have it be kind of compromised in any way. And this year, in his first year, it's the first time I saw Ryan Poles and my team in quite some time take the onus upon themselves to make the offensive line what you need it to be for any quarterback to be successful. Because I can tell you, hell, you get pressure up the middle, the guy who people call the GOAT, not me, Tom Brady, even he tap dances when that pressure is right up the middle and you can't stop him from getting to a spot where you stop him from getting to a point that he wants to in terms of his reads and progressions, because he can't get there. So timing is everything with those types of things right there. And if we can, once again, because I didn't do so the first time, I want to be able to cut the music off for one moment. And as we conclude things, I did talk about it very early on in my stream, but I would be remiss if we do not have at least a minute moment of tribute, moment of silence for myself, for Joey Browner. Joey Browner was a Hall of Fame caliber safety, so we'll give you a little bit of a read up for him. He passed away at the age of 65. He was a 6-time Pro Bowler for the Minnesota Vikings, and he was a defensive back, as I stated, and one of the great hitters of the 80s. His legacy as a Purple People Eater is something that, even as a Bears fan, I will give deference and respect to somebody who was an ultimate competitor from a production standpoint. No matter what the uniform a person wears, while I might not have any favor for them on the field at that given time, to acknowledge any talent that they may have is something that I would always like to do. So for myself, I will cut this thing here for a moment of silence for the guy Joey Browner. We hope that his family is well in this time of bereavement. Any other athletes that I may have missed, we will start to pay a bit more of a closer, attentive ear and eye when it comes to those types of things right there, just so that we can give celebration to people while they're here, and when they are not, still give flowers as well. Tour will not start, and tour gonna start for a couple weeks until Penix get his life together out there. I don't think two lefties. I'm interested in seeing it because I'm a lefty. I want to see how you got two on your roster. Atlanta had 3 left-handed quarterbacks in their history. That's crazy right there. Let's talk about that. G Honda getting done. Yeah, hey, why? G Honda got knees like Nancy Kerrigan. And let me tell you something, Janarius Honda. I'm Jeff Galooly for those tyrannical, knock-kneed ways of yours. We're going to pull it. We're going to pull it, bro. We ain't going to talk about it. Got my eye on you, bro. We going to, that's it. G Hudson, Janarius Honda, all the other amalgamated names that have been put together for yourself, sir. I want you to have those. We have wrapped up today's storylines heading on the NFL meetings. The referees in the Referee Association getting a better deal. Shout out to Derek for talking union talk with me today. It's always good to have fellow union brethren and sister along for the fight. We talked about what I call the pandemic of failed physicals. Let's talk about that right there. Trade rumors for wide receivers. Always going to have Bears buzz. Any questions that we've had besides us tribute to a legend? What are our lasting impressions of things that we have covered for today? If you are a fan of the NFL, not college football, G Honda, hit that like button. If you like college football and you got some things you want to talk about in that, I'm knowledgeable enough, I'm versed enough, and I observe it. I don't closely follow any sport that I'm not too drawn to, but I will always do enough research and homework on a subject to have a educated, at least a semi-informed opinion about something before I give my opinion. So as much as typically my days are centered around bear talk, the next 2 days will be a bit of a decompression, and it'll always center back to my beloved because we're going to talk Bears every day, even when we talk about the draft. But tomorrow, somebody brought to me yesterday a discussion about flag football, and it got me to thinking how fun it would be for us to draft a flag football team. So I will give us a quick overview. Let me see. Let me see if I. Yep. Give you a quick overview of what we got going on here. Chelsea, if you see it, if everybody sees it, we got a wheel again. Yes, we got another wheel for the chat, Derek. Tomorrow we will have the ultimate flag football draft. Tomorrow we will attempt to draft from the selected pool of NFL players and create a NFL flag football team that will not get pulverized like G Honda's knees and like they did against the current United States flag football team. So in order to beat the USFFL and those champs out there, we are going to attempt to draft some of the best of the best. We will get some criteria put together. The only criteria for G Honda to be the water boy, Derek, is that he is able to carry the whole Gatorade chain full of Powerade for him. He only get Gatorade. T Miles, what's going on with you, baby? T Miles, we had nothing more than a good. We had a good breakdown today. That was what you classify as a mailbag. So we talked about the NFL owners meetings. The Bears gonna bring up one last time the opportunity for us to get those comp draft picks at the not winter meetings, spring meetings. Those are taking place right now. So that last ditch effort will happen for us. Appreciate you, Ken, for always pulling up. We talked about some failed physical NFL things going on. If you want to check out the replay later on, and tomorrow we are going to help each other draft a flag football team to beat the USA's team. With that being said, we got any other questions, comments, concerns, drop those in the comment section. If you're catching it on the replay, drop it in the box below. Feel free to give us any and every topic of discussion that you might want to in our Discord general chat. Or if you are not a part of the Discord, feel free to hit the email. That is mailboxsports3 at yahoo.com. If you want to support a small streamer, hit the Cash App. It is that $ mailboxsports3. And if you want to be a part of the G Honda Generius G Hudson roast every day in every Discord that he is a part of, feel free to stop by and jump into mine as well. Derek's gonna keep us cooking out there on the roast. Chelsea got the marshmallows, and I'm pretty sure Rachel Cube gonna always give you what you need with the refreshments. But everybody, until next time and until next delivery, I am your host, Postman 1914. This is the Mailbag Weekly Edition on Mailbox Sports. We will talk to you tomorrow. We gone.